As last week's violence unfolded at UCLA, LA Mayor Karen Bass was forced to cut short a trip to D.C., where she'd been leading the U.S. Conference of Mayors Task Force on Homelessness. I sat down with Mayor Bass today as she attended the Milken Conference in Beverly Hills.
I was absolutely shocked and horrified at the violence that I saw. And I do hope that there will be a complete, comprehensive investigation, and people need to be held accountable. I came back right away because I wanted to make sure that Los Angeles Police Department and all of the resources that the city have were at the disposal of UCLA. You do know that's not our jurisdiction. It's a state university, and so first order of business there are the university police, then the California Highway Patrol. And so I was on the phone with our police chief as well as the chancellor throughout the night while I was literally packing my bags and coming directly home. So I arrived here at about 10 o'clock the next morning.
There's a lot of people that are very angry that war wasn't done on that first night.
Right.
We had all the violence, and they were wondering, where is everybody? Where is
Exactly.
police? What do you say to those
Exactly.
people?
Well, what I say is that there are a lot of questions to be answered. One thing that I learned in this process is that if you're going to have a big problem like that, you have to notify law enforcement in advance so they can muster the troops. So calling a local station while a protest is happening is not going to generate 80, 90, 100 police officers in the matter of minutes. Unfortunately, it took hours. So I think as the city and UCLA looks back at it, we need to look at what happened. When was mutual aid called for? When were the appropriate decision makers? Where were they? So an entire review of the events need to happen. And why, frankly, was the counter-protest happening right next door to the encampment on a big university that counter-protest could have happened in a lot of places? So I think all of that needs to be reviewed, and I think people need to be held accountable no matter who they are.
What does that mean, held accountable? People be fired?
Well, I have no idea. I mean, if somebody didn't do what they were supposed to do, or they dropped the ball, it might mean that, or it might just result in improvements and recommendations for if something like that were to happen in the future.
Where do we go from here when it comes to those protests? Because it seems like that issue is not going away.
Well, I don't think the issue is going away, but I think that in our country, we've experienced this many, many times before, and I think there needs to be a review of the entire process. So depending on when things escalate or when things become dangerous, we need to make sure that we have all of the proper protocols and the leadership is there to know when to pull the trigger.
If that protest had happened in LAPD territory, would it have gone down differently?
Well, I do think it would have gone down differently, but I think that we would have been more prepared.
Well, so she says people need to be held accountable. One of those people, a lot of people think, is the chancellor himself, Gene Block. Of course, his days are numbered already because he's out of his post at the end of July.
And there are serious questions also about the future of the head of UC Police as well on that campus, about whether he did a good job that night.